Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the opening round of Season 5 of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship. We come to you live from the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit with the fast chicane, and we'll be racing for 2 races here tonight, 14 laps, which should be about just under half an hour, and 28 laps, the long feature race here later tonight with a reverse top 10 grid with GT3 racing as standard as well. It is going to be a very exciting opener to what's going to be a long 10 race season, or 10 round season I should say, taking us all the way to the middle/end of March at the early part of 2026. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, with you in commentary tonight with Jared Cole alongside me and the Simple Racing Broadcast Network. Good to have you alongside me, Jared. Looking forward to this championship season. We're not going to be going to this part of the Nürburgring, the carousel and all of that, but it's a challenging Grand Prix circuit nevertheless, with, I've got to say, a thing that sticks out to me: slight difficulty in overtaking, but we'll see how the drivers deal with that since it's the opening night.
Oh, absolutely, Ewan, and great to be back in the booth with you. It's been far too long, my friend, and what a way to open up a new season of the GT3 Championship. It is, look, a whole different field here. We have only just seen, I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it was probably 2 months ago, I think we finished the last season, and all of a sudden we are straight back into it. A whole new list of drivers. There's a few returning names, of course, that some of our regular viewers will recognise, but there's also a whole bunch of drivers here that I haven't even actually seen on any track anywhere, so I'm really interested to see how that plays out this evening. Qualifying, I'm sure, will give us a very, very good idea of that, but of course, as you said, race pace is a whole other thing, and overtaking here will be tricky. I think it'll come down to really who's got the pace on cold tyres first up.
Yeah, that might well be a key factor. It is much more of a factor in GT3 these days. Big variety on the grid in terms of manufacturers, by the way. You mentioned the drivers, and same for me. I've seen some of them, but not all. We do, though, as I say, have a real great variety of the manufacturers. I can't think of one that's missing. Although that might be my memory.
No, look, I was going to say we've got no Audis from what I've seen, but there is one. Dylan Shepherd has jumped into an Audi, so yeah. I'm pretty sure we've got all of them represented, which is a little unusual for GT3s, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. Aston Martin only a couple, even though it's quite a new car, which normally means it's quite favoured actually in the GT3 world. But you've got to remember, with a season like this, well, maybe not because of where this is placed, but normally with a season like this, there is a week where obviously it's week 13 and the BOP and everything changes. We do have a week off, by the way, between week 6 and 7. I'm not sure whether that is the week 13 week. Or not, I can't remember. But anyway, in a long season like this, there can be changes to the way that these different manufacturers, these different cars actually behave, which is part of the intrigue in selecting your car. And of course, because there's such a variety of tracks on the right hand side of your screen, starting with the twists and turns of the Nurburgring. The first few circuits are actually quite twisty and turny, I would say, but it does open out a little bit towards the end of the season, especially those last 2 weeks. Mount Panorama on March the 11th and Monza March the 18th as well. It's another great thing about such a long season. As I say, you've got to pick a manufacturer that's going to be strong-ish, or at least manageable at all of those very, very different racetracks.
Yeah, and look at Mount Panorama and Monza as a couple of finishing rounds. That's really going to separate any close championship battles that we do have at that point, because, of course, they're tracks that will demand absolute commitment from all the drivers, no matter which car they've selected. Bathurst in particular, always a challenge in GT3s. I can't wait for it. We've got a bunch of people in the chat ready to join us for some amazing racing here this evening. Scott Stevens from the iRacing ANZ chat show is here. Good to have you back, my friend, as well as Tom Donohoe from Formula Drivers League dropping in. Nice to see you here, Tomo. Good to have you along. And of course, Danny P, who I was surprised to not see on the entry list. Daniel Poulton, a feature in so many seasons of the MC Motorsport GT3s, and he's not here. He's concentrating on Gen 3 supercars, which is, look, fair enough. It's just not going to be the same without you, though, Danny.
Which generation is that? Gen 3? Is that
that's the current. That is the latest.
Oh, the current. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know supercars not really something you cover a lot over in the UK, right? It's a uniquely Australian thing, but hey, it's good fun all the same.
Well, sadly not. I actually used to, before I was a broadcaster, I actually used to race V8 supercars with a bunch of Australians early in the morning, like I do broadcast this, which is slightly strange, but I was a strange child, so there you go. But yeah, it is a little bit different to these, it's fair to say. Obviously, the assists and everything that you get with the GT3 standard, no surprises there really, as far as this is concerned, and the format as well, where I suppose is the only place where there may be some surprises. There certainly was to me, because it's not the same on every evening. So today, as I mentioned, we've got a race with a half-hour time limit on it, and then a race with an hour time limit on it, because we're not expecting any rain, although there might be a surprise. It shouldn't come to the time limit, but that is there, and it should be around that length of time anyway. But there is different amounts of laps in each race, and that changes depending on what night it is as well. So, for example, next week at Algarve there's a sprint round, which is 3 races. We'll see that again in Sebring and the Hockenheimring, and there's a couple of endurance rounds as well. That will start in 3 weeks from today at Barcelona, and there'll be another one a fortnight after that at Mugello as well. That's just one 90-minute race, and the points are scaled based on how long the race is as well. So there's 300 points maximum for the winner if you win all the races in one night. That feels difficult, but it is possible. 300 points available on one night, and it very much changes depending on what the format is. So I quite like that. Keeps it sort of fresh each time, and I don't think there are any repeat weeks either. So it's just going to continue to change and surprise us each week, which I think is a good thing.
No, it absolutely is, and it's one of the hallmarks of the MC Motorsport series is that it always ends up in a fairly close end of season championship battle. No matter who's in there, the variety that they provide each and every season is absolutely phenomenal to watch, and it's no surprise that we've got such a popular group of drivers back again. I reckon we should go down and check out some of the qualifying drivers that are out there. They've got about 7 or 8 minutes left in that qualifying session, so we may as well check out some of that action while we do chat a little about some of the other changes for this season, hey?
Yeah, let's see what's going on out on the circuit. I can imagine it's very, very busy. I can only see a couple of drivers in pit lane at the moment. It's an open session, so you've got to find your track space, although this will not be one of the bigger headaches as far as that's concerned. Particularly worried about Sandown in 2 weeks, actually. For
It's going to be chaos.
Forget 40 again for Sandown, we're in trouble.
Yes.
Or they are. We'll be
we're fine in the booth, mate. We've got
but
aircon, we've got drinks, we're good.
Yeah. We'll be fine, but they won't be, I would imagine. It's a long circuit though, just over 5 kilometres around here, and pretty slow as well. It takes nearly 2 minutes to get round here. And Reece Wakefield currently the fastest driver, just giving us a bit of a show as to, was just as I said that, giving us a bit of a show as to how to set up a lap as well, going wide through the Coca-Cola curve there at the final corner, so give yourself a good run onto the front straight, but it's changing all the time. Dylan Shepherd went faster than him briefly. Kane Ryder has just nudged in front of him as well. Ocean Colangelo goes in just behind Wakefield. It's all change at the front, which shows you really there's quite a long time to go in this session, and nowhere near everybody has got up to speed properly yet.
No, absolutely. This is one of the joys of open qualifying, isn't it? It's not the same as the standard iRacing 2-lap, hot lap approach. You really will find those faster times coming towards the end of 15 minutes. Even 15 minutes is enough to get so much rubber down on the road. And Reece Wakefield, last season's champion, he will not be taking that lightly. Expect to see him improve his time over the next little while as well, I'm sure. The other one for us to keep an eye on that will just head up the AM Cup at the moment. Mitch Curry, of course, MC Motorsport's frontman himself. He is currently the fastest AM Cup driver on track. Now you'll see in our timing tower the silver position indicator. That is the drivers that are eligible for the Amateur Cup this season. Which is a little bit to do with how they finished in the last GT3 Championship season. So there's only, I think from memory, 7 drivers competing this time around. We've had a lot of driver changes this season that have impacted, and so there's not as many in the AM Cup as I was probably expecting from last season, but that's okay. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as well. I'll try to, with a lot going on here over the course of these races, that is for sure. We've got just over 5 minutes left in this session, by the way. Kane Ryder about to complete his 4th lap at the moment. Dylan Shepherd, Reece Wakefield all very close in behind, and Ocean Colangelo as well, so there could be some improvements, and there is indeed one there from Kane Ryder. So he goes fastest with a 1:52.5. There's Dylan Shepherd, who's into second as well. And you mentioned the Audi a little bit earlier on. That was the manufacturer I was looking out for as well, as far as the one that we don't have is concerned. But even the Audi is represented in this session, which is great to see. Unusual though to see it so far up towards the top and doing so well, because it's really not a very fancy car these days.
No, a lot of iRacing drivers really turn away from the Audi, which I think is a shame for 2 reasons. One, it looks fantastic, particularly in the One Performance Racing colours. 2, it sounds amazing. I get that the performance isn't always quite up to par, but you look at Dylan Shepherd's times here and it really does tell you what you can achieve with this car if you do put in the seat time and get to know it. I mean, he's right up there, only 3/10 off the fastest current lap, with, 4 minutes left in this session? So still time to run probably 2 more laps if he's lucky. The only thing, as always, a challenge for me, Ewan, is trying to remember whether they get to finish their final lap or if it cuts them off. I can never keep up with what iRacing's going to do with those.
Oh, it changes with every series. So that makes it very, very difficult, I've got to say. I know we should remember really, but it's very difficult. This is a little bit further down the field for Christian Tachenko in the Downshift Race Team Porsche. looks like he's taken a bit of a bump and scrape actually to the front left of that Porsche, because you can see maybe a little bit more of that wheel, that front left wheel, than you should be able to. He's got a face behind him as well.
Yeah, look, I love the little angel on the shoulder just whispering around the ear. If I'm not mistaken, that's a good friend Oscar, isn't it?
It looks like that picture was taken a while ago.
It's maybe a little old, but that's Oscar Piastri, isn't it? Someone in the chat tell me I'm right.
I think so.
Looking at the times coming through here, there's one driver that I'm waiting to hear time from. We might talk about that a little later on, but we'll just keep an eye out for that. It's a bit of an up the sleeve kind of moment. One driver that I'm interested to see across here is Matt Webber from TKR Dash Racing. Now, I've been watching him drive the GT3s over in Tasman Racing League on their last road season, and he was absolutely dominant in that league. I've been really interested to see what he's going to put down here with MC Motorsport, just to get a bit of a comparison. You know, as commentators, we cover so many different leagues, but it can be a little difficult to get a good comparison without diving deep into the times, right? But to see drivers crossing over leagues like this, always a pleasure to have them across more and more of the coverage that we do have on. So welcome, Matt Webber, to MC Motorsport GT3 Championship. I hope you enjoy your stay.
I wonder if it's any relation to the famous.
I can tell you he's definitely not, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
And honestly, the biggest problem I've had with him is when I see him in the timing tower, wanting to call him Mark Webber, because it's M Webber in our timing tower. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. We have got confirmation from another brain that it is indeed Oscar Piastri.
Fantastic.
That picture must have been taken a while ago. That doesn't look really like him anymore. Anyway, that's I won't comment further. Oh dear, Patrick Frame all over the curbs at the final chicane there. I say that as you look at this layout, it says no chicane, but obviously it's not entirely true. What it means is it's not the tight chicane, obviously, where you have to really brake hard. It definitely is still a chicane, but it's very, very fast, and you know, if you get it slightly wrong, there's some huge anti-cut curves there, and you know, it's fine in qualifying for Patrick. He can just get back going again. In fact, he was very close to the end of another lap to start a new one, but in the race, that's going to be much more of a problem.
It absolutely will be, and I reckon it won't be the last time we see that happen tonight. The challenge is going to be getting this number of cars, as we see Cruz McPhee coming into the pits, not finishing that lap. Doesn't see any point when he's not running green sectors, and that's fair enough. It's one of those racetracks where 40-odd cars, and I'm just checking, we've got 39 drivers that have set a time, plus 3 more drivers that haven't set a time just yet. I do notice that Ryan Palmer has popped up in the chat just to engage in the usual banter with Danny P. Ryan, should you be out there setting a time, mate? Or are you trying to go from the back of the field for this one? That's an interesting approach, and I hope it pays off for you, but we'll be watching with great interest.
Yeah, there are 3 drivers without times, actually. We'll see whether they all get onto the grid or not. But if they do, that would be 42 drivers in the field here for tonight's opener, which is very exciting to see. As qualifying draws to a close, we'll look at the starting grid ready for race 1. It's Kane Ryder who takes pole by 96 thousandths of a second ahead of Jackson Dow, with Dylan Shepherd and Oisin Colangelo sharing row 2. Chris McVie and Liam Tipping then on row 3 ahead of Danny Davison and Reese Wakefield. Campbell Adams and James Solani round out the top 10. Danny McCrone and Jeremy Washington on row 6 ahead of Thomas Kuhl and Michael Whiting. Chris Miller and Blake Delaney then on row 8 ahead of Ian Ward and Dan Bartush. It's Patrick Frame, who we just saw there in 19th, the final driver within a second of pole ahead of Chris Lashbrook, who rounds out the top 20. Mitch Curry is 21st ahead of Jared Burns, with Liam Jensen and Chris Croat on row 12. Mick Polly is alongside Matt Webber, that we're going to have to get right. James Doyle and Trev Mortimer on row 14 ahead of Reece Gardner and Troy McGuire. That rounds out the top 30. 31st is Bradley Cairns with Luke Hayden, Dean Poe and Lucas Baker on row 17 ahead of Keith Logan, Brian East, Brand Tucker and Christian Tachenko. And Guy Dittock actually all set times. As I mentioned, 3 drivers didn't. and that is Ben Keat, and also Ryan Parler and Thomas Searle, not same times. Also at the bottom there are some race control people, I think.
Absolutely spot on. Nathan Ellis, Scott Partine and Isaac Edwards will be in race control, and also, I imagine at some point tonight, I'm tipping it now, we're going to see a safety car, and one of them will be behind the wheel of that safety car.
Okay, well, constant entertainment with that is whether they crash or not. That's a common, it's more common than you think. Let's put it that way. But there you go. There they all are on the grid. We do have a McLaren. I'm still trying to think of manufacturers we don't have.
I'm pretty sure
maybe I should give up.
Everything covered tonight. Yeah. We've got the Porsches, the Mustangs, we've got the McLarens, the Beamers, the Corvettes are out there, the Audis there. What are we missing, folks? I'm sure we're missing something. We've got one Aston in the field, Cruise McVie, although there might be another one hiding somewhere further down. No, the only Aston tonight actually is Cruise McVie, so that's going to be an interesting one, I'm sure, for him. But let's see what happens, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a couple of drivers down the back. I do wonder actually whether some of them would start at the pit lane, because it's turn one around here at the Nürburgring. It's very, very tight. Tightest corner on the racetrack, and indeed it comes right at the beginning. So we'll see whether anybody decides to do that. There's a couple of drivers quite slow to get onto the grid, but no, everybody in the of the qualifiers anyway are onto the grid. And the three behind, Keat, Palmer and Searle, are still not. So perhaps they are taking my advice, or they are going to start from the pit lane, as I say, as well. But there we go. 3 minutes gridding is now complete, and the drivers are ready to go. The first race in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship is underway, and it's a very good start from Colangelo on the second row there, almost scratching into the back of the car in front because it was such a good launch. In towards turn number one. She's looking up the inside of Kane Ryder, who can't quite get down the inside there. Kane Ryder's going to lead everybody pretty tentative in towards turn one, and that's a good thing. It's turn two where there's trouble for Liam Tipping, who goes around from the top 10.
Yeah, look, it was always a risk, wasn't it? 2-3 wide cold tyres, and that's going to cost him quite a bit of position at this early stage of the race. He's just getting back onto the track now, but we have still not quite sorted out this line. Kane Ryder off to an amazing start, though, with Shepherd and Colangelo in hot pursuit, and the front runners here all still in pretty good shape at this stage. We're still too wide, though, just a little further back. Chris Lashbrook and Mick Whiting right alongside each other, and they're going to need to get that sorted out pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting single file out in the field as they come down into the bottom of the racetrack. The Dunlop curve, turn 7. It's the hairpin there, side by side in the background for 16th position as Michael Whiting gets down the inside of Mitch Curry and gets through. Curry's already made up 4 places, to be fair, so just getting up back one is no bad thing as they come through the Schumacher S now. A little bit of dust being kicked up as well by a few of the drivers as they come through there. Oh, very, very close down the field.
Oh, Team Maximus drives around, that's Adams.
14 laps, sorry. Yeah, Campbell Adams is the one who's gone around, and also it looks like Bradley Kearns was losing a place or two, but yeah, it's Campbell Adams who's the one who's gone around there as well.
Someone who's had a great start to this race, Cruise McVie in that Aston Martin, still sitting in 5th, and as an AM Cup driver, really representing very, very well. I'm sure they might question his eligibility for that AM Cup after the first couple of rounds if he keeps this sort of performance up.
Oh, there we go. We're missing an Acura. We finally got the manufacturer.
There we go. There's always one.
Yeah, exactly. I just knew that couldn't be all of them. Side by side for 14th place meantime. And look at the group that this is creating, by the way, between Ian Ward and Michael Whiting for 14th position to Mercedes, which is probably the most populous car, especially at the front. Oh, and then one of them spun around. Mitch Curry has spun around. I think he must have been assisted there. And there's more trouble just in front. That's Doyle who goes around in the Mustang right in front of the field. And he's going to get caught up again. There is Mitch Curry. He was spun round, half spun in towards turn 1. Now he's caught up behind the big Mustang, spun round through turn 2. It's all happening because this is at the front of the field. Jackson Doe versus Kane Ryder, who's lost his lead and nearly loses 3rd place.
Yeah, a little bit of panel rubbing there, which is not entirely normal to see in GT3s, but hey, we're all about it here at MC Motorsport. Why not? Side by side in the background of the Cruise McVie and Reese Wakefield, last season's championship. winner right there alongside, so he's pushing on very, very hard. You can always see Chris McPhee's lost that rear bar somewhere along the way, so there's been contact. Hopefully won't cause him too many dramas here tonight, but not the start you want only 2 laps into a 14-lap race. That is going to affect his downforce quite significantly.
Yeah, it is. I'll see how it affects. I don't think it should be too much of a problem. That was a change. Meantime, as Chris Lasbrook gets past Jeremy Washington, Lasbrook already up 8 places, although that's not the most gain throughout the field. Troy Maguire and now Dean Power actually is up 11 places, have the most. Dean Power's only up to 22nd though, a little bit further down the field. Here comes Lasbrook though, still on the charge there into the final turn. There is Mitch Curry again, just in behind these guys. Keith Logan, another one of the big movers forward, and there is a stop actually from Cruz McVie into the pit lane very, very early on, after just 2 laps of this season having to pit from the top 10.
You'd have to think that that damage is affecting him more than he expected. Chris Crote here, he's not hanging around despite missing the entire front bar. That's going to really impact on braking at the end of this straight, but he gets it done and manages to hold on. In fact, that's Reece Gardner, I'm sorry, with the damage there. And Gardner is somehow getting that car around the track still. Here comes Jeremy Washington, another of the ADHD entries, right alongside now Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports, Ian Ward right behind them, and have a look at the number of Mercs in this field. It's not surprising. They seem to be a really, really popular choice at the moment, but doesn't look half bad with a group of them getting together like that. Spare a thought in the background for Liam Jensen from Koala Cartel, the Mustang just trying to hold on at the moment.
Yeah, it's with an Audi out front, by the way. Audi first, Mercedes second. It very much feels like 2016, but it isn't. We haven't stepped back in time. It is still 2026, and we've got a full circle moment for those 2 manufacturers. Here comes Liam Tipping, who was tipped around at turn 2 earlier on lap 2, and is trying to recover some of those places. Going to get 1 as John Solani goes around. And he's spun by him now. Tipping there was expecting the gap to be. Oh, it's Liam Jensen, is it? Who's gone off? Sorry, yeah, it is indeed. I thought that was Tipping. It was around again. Looks similar to me. Maybe I'm going a bit mad. James Solani, sorry, I think I've called him John. He spun around for. There's too much going on at the moment. Spun around through turn 10, and Jensen just thought, I guess, that's going to be clear, but certainly wasn't, and got spun around into the outside.
Yeah, not ideal. The re-entry not a problem, I don't think, there from Salhani. Just not enough room left by Jensen, and that's put him all the way back to 24th. Take a look at Keith Logan in behind in that Porsche, the Southern Cross Racing entry, up 10 positions so far after only 4 laps. That's a brilliant start to his race. The other one that's been on the move, Troy Maguire in 19th, is up 11. Dean Power behind him is up 13. Reece Gardner still locked in battle with Chris Crote, and I tell you what, it is a bit of a different thing seeing Reece behind the wheel instead of up here in the booth with us.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, plenty of racing experience to his name, of course, down the years. Sure, I like you for saying that.
Proving that too. He's up 8 positions.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So one of the bigger movers forward. A little bit further down, this is the group with Matt Webber involved, and also Campbell Adams, who is trying to recover from spins earlier on, or 1 spin. Luke Hayden, the other one, involved in the other Mercedes. They're going 2 side by side there, Hayden and Adams, down towards the Dunlop curve. As we have a look at an iRacing Designs replay, James Doyle, the latest Koala Cartel driver to go around. So, yeah, that's 3 of them now, I think, who've gone around at various points in these opening 3 or 4 laps.
Now, in saying that, I think there's about 17 Koala Cartel cars out there on track tonight, so expect to see plenty of that yellow and black livery. It was the same story on Monday night in the MC Motorsport V8 series. Of course, the Domestic V8 series on Monday nights running alongside the GT3 Championship for the first time rather than alternating seasons. So MC Motorsport bringing us plenty of amazing racing action. And yeah, the prevalence of Koala Cartel cars out on track is something to behold, particularly when they end up in a group. It's almost like the hunt is on.
Yeah, absolutely. There are quite a lot of them, as you say. Interested to know where that team name comes from, I've got to say. I don't imagine
I have no idea, honestly.
No.
But look, koalas do tend to hunt in packs, I hear. So we'll go with that. You know what? I'm going to go with it. Why not?
We don't have those. We banished them from our island, so there you go. I sent them all to you by the sound of it. Anyway, out front of the field, Dylan Shepherd still leads, just over a second ahead of Ocean Colangelo, as Campbell Adams continues his run through the field. That's Brian East, who's now behind him in the McLaren, one of the three we've got in the field here tonight. The gaps out front just starting to extend out, no gap below half a second in the top five. There's this though for fifth between Jackson Dollar. Oh dear me, that's close, with Reese Wakefield, who very nearly got to the rear left of that Lamborghini and spun it round totally, but didn't quite. And we get away with one there, or Jackson Dillon rather gets away with one, gets into the top five.
Yeah, Dial's doing very nicely here this evening. One of the new drivers with very little knowledge that I can offer on his performances elsewhere. I don't know if you've seen Dial in other leagues before, Ewan, but certainly acquitting himself pretty well for race one. He's right up there, although he has dropped 3 spots from where he qualified. He is right in amongst it.
I have commented on him before. I can't really remember where though. It just feels familiar, which is the classic thing really. But there you go. This is just outside the top 10, where it just get a little bit more crowded. The likes of Jeremy Washington heading this group in front of Michael Whiting and Ian Ward, James Solani, as they come into the final corner. This is further down the field. This is that group again into turn one. No moves made this time round. One of the better, in fact probably the best overtaking chance on the racetrack really, down in towards turn number one. As I was saying earlier, expecting it to be a little bit of a challenge to overtake, but that's not really been the case so far. It's been a pretty lively opener to this championship season.
And I've got to say, a surprisingly clean opening half of this first race. It's I was really expecting, I don't know, perhaps a little more, maybe carnage is the wrong word, but cold tyres and GT3 cars. I really didn't think that we'd see so few incidents. We've had a couple spins here and there, but nothing wholesale that's caused any major concerns so far. I may have just said the wrong thing, of course, but look, it's been a fairly clean one, considering that we do have 40 odd cars out on track. Everyone actually driving fairly cleanly, and as you said, plenty of movement as well. There's actually, quite a number of drivers that are up multiple positions. A number of them are, up 1 or 2 because of other drivers dropping further back. But some of the top performers so far, Chris Lashbrook on your screen now from ADHD, he is up 10 positions into 10th. So a brilliant start for the ADHD driver. We touched base with Mick Poley earlier as well, who is on the move. He's up 8 positions at the moment, and then Liam Tipping trying to claw one back just at the moment. Just in the background though, Troy Maguire from Fishy Motorsports up 11, Dean Powell up 13 positions into 20th. So some big movers in amongst all of that. Some of the less enjoyable drives so far. Campbell Adams down 20 positions so far after that earlier slide, that earlier spin. Bit of contact there with the back of Matt Webber, and not quite what he would have hoped for. But this group, look at this, 2 wide on the way down the straight. Mitch Curry's tucked in behind Trev Mortimer. Cairns on the outside. He's going to really struggle. Curry dives to the inside. He's going to give it a shot under brakes here. Cairns stays wide. Curry's going to want to lock in and try and hold him out of this racing line if he can, but Curry's struggling to get the power down. Mortimer continues to pull away. Curry and Cairns right beside each other behind them. And Keith Logan, the other Southern Cross Racing Porsche, in amongst as well. Matt Webber still in this group. We're going 2 wide, 2 by 2 on the way through. We're almost going 3 wide through this second part of the chicane. Somehow we've made the room for it, although Kansas had to go very, very wide, almost onto the grass completely. We're still 3 wide in the background. Finally, Adams makes the probably the wise choice there and pulls out of it and allows a bit of room for everyone else to settle down, but that was very close to a major incident. Oh, here we go. Oh,
There we go. And just about avoided by everybody as well. Keith Logan, unfortunately, the unfortunate one to go around. It was coming, you've got to say.
Oh, absolutely.
It was such a massive group for 24th place. They were doing well to go for that long, to be honest. And it's still going on here as Mitch Curry tries to recover some of these positions. He's up to 24th, gets in front of Bradley Kearns. And so this group may well just start to split apart a little bit now. But that was very, very lively. There's not really a place on this circuit where three wide is going to work, to be honest. And I'm glad that they backed out at every opportunity. But unfortunately, there was going to be an incident at some point. It was just unfortunate that Keith Logan was the one to be most affected by it. Kearns now going to be overtaken by Webber and Campbell Adams, who continuing to come through the field here and makes up another place on the way towards the fast chicane.
Still plenty of action going on further up through the field as well. Chris Lashbrook watching the mirror here as Patrick Frame and Dan Partouche change places for just a moment. Can Partouche get a bit of an over-under going here as Frame takes the inside of the corner? Great drive from the Corvette coming out of there, and so the SRT Motorsports Aston Martin just having to settle back in. It looks like that is the second Aston Martin I was looking for. I knew there was another one out here somewhere. Unfortunately for him, he's found himself wide. Liam Tipping's going to sneak through as well. Mick Polly's going to give it a try. Thinks about going around the outside, dips back to the inside. Not quite going to have the pace, but he's got the nose up alongside. This is going to be an interesting push as we come towards the left-right sequence here. Polly really needs to settle back in and set up for the next turn, but he's going to have a dive at it here. They're going side by side on the exit. This will be close. Polly's in a great position, though, for the long right-hander at the bottom of this hill. I think Partouche might have just a little extra speed, though.
Let's see if it's... Oh, not quite able to get down the inside there, Polly. But given the chance, look at that, Partouche misses the apex really, and on the outside coming into the Schumacher S, Mick Polly, oh great move around the outside of the first part of the Schumacher S. Mick Polly up to 17th position. I'll be impressed if we see that again, to be honest, because outside of the Schumacher S is a very, very difficult move to pull off, but he just has done for 17th place.
That was a great move, just absolutely committed to staying there and forced Dan Partouche to make the room and really just kept his foot in it and made it happen. We'll have another look at it because it was a great move as we see Polly coming around and alongside on the way out of the wide hairpin. Just stays there, a little bit of contact, but holds his line and forces Partouche to just get off the accelerator to make it through. And brilliant driving from Mick Polly. The Southern Cross Racing Porsche picks up another spot.
Yeah, nicely done. And up to 17th for now, although that has created a group where Troy Maguire has joined. And so that might provide a problem for them. In fact, there is Maguire looking to make that 12 places gained so far at the expense of Dan Partouche, and switches to the inside. Can't quite get properly down the inside though, so stays where he is. Dean Powell continues to try and be the biggest gainer of the field, but has just lost a place to Liam Jensen, who obviously lost that place to him earlier with that spin through turn 12. So they're going side by side, just in behind Campbell Adams and Matt Webber side by side as well. Look for the run of Delaney. Oh dear, very nearly got into the back of the Mustang there as they stacked up upon one another. Delaney's going to get past, oh no, he's not going to get past Webber there. Shoved to the outside, and Webber's going to keep the position. This battle for 24th just not going away at the moment.
That would have been terrifying for Blake Delaney, I reckon, from inside that cockpit. He had to make a very, very quick decision on whether he was going to keep the foot in it or back out and survive to fight on. I don't know what the right move would have been there, but he was already off the track on the outside, so probably a good chance to back on out as we see the sparks fly off the back of Webber's Mustang. It goes up and over the curb. This is on board with Blake Delaney from Fishy Motorsports, 230 kilometres an hour before getting hard on the brakes for this awkward left-hander and then an equally awkward right-hander. I've spent plenty of time around the Nurburgring, not considering, not claiming to be fast around the Nurburgring, I should add, but have spent a lot of time getting around this place. Absolutely love it, absolutely hate those two corners.
Yeah, it's a difficult place to get right, I feel. Very, very difficult indeed, because you've got just a constant spray of corners, really, that makes it a pretty tough challenge for these drivers. So far dealing with it well. We're on lap 10 of the season opener here in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship.
Big nudge from Tippett.
Yeah, and up to 14th place again, so he will be searching for that top 10. It's a top 10 reverse grid race tonight, and he'll desperately want to be 10th, but it's looking like a stretch to return to the top 10, unfortunately, for Liam Tipping, who was spun round on lap 2, don't forget, from the top 10.
Yeah, long way to work his way back up, and has done a good job so far, no doubt. He's certainly carving through the field and outperforming all of those other AM Cup drivers by a significant margin. Really, the only person that had the pace to go with him was Cruz McPhee, but unfortunately that early damage taking him out and requiring that pit stop, so he finds himself down in 31st at the moment. We'll go back to a roundabout here because Brian East, Lucas Baker and Luke Hayden find themselves in a nice little group here, battling it out for 28th. I think Brian East might just have this one. He's managed to maintain this pretty well, but Baker getting a great drive out of the hairpin. This is the challenge at this circuit. We said it before the broadcast, really got into full swing. It was going to be a tricky one to get passes done, and you really do have to follow through and set up 3 or 4 corners back. It's almost more akin to how you need to drive those Gen 3 supercars to get the best out of them. It's really taking your time and just pushing on across 4, 5, 6 corners to make a pass stick. That's what these drivers are going to have to do tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick Frame has been off, by the way, or at least has lost a couple of places in one go. Was running inside the top 20 and isn't anymore. We'll have a iRacing Designs replay. Oh, just clips the grass on the way towards turn 12. Ends up in the gravel, and that loses you quite a few places. This is back to that group again. 28th place on backwards, and just shows there is battling literally the whole way through this field. These guys, by the way, are only about 40 seconds off of the race lead, which shows actually a very small field spread, and everybody still in the race. Jared Burns in pit lane right now is the first driver to have been in pit lane for more than a minute, which suggests that we haven't really had very much damage inflicted on any of these cars so far in this race, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a surprise, and honestly I think probably more attributable to the amount of runoff here at this part of the Nürburgring at least. Once you get into the Nordschleife, it's a whole different story, but right now, beautiful wide grassy sections. If you do run wide, if you do get into a bit of a spin, you don't have to worry quite so much about how close those walls are. About the only person that's enjoying a bit of time on their own at the moment is this man here, Dylan Shepherd, that One Performance Racing Audi, just cruising around out front at the moment.
Absolutely, doing a very good job indeed at the front of this field. Dylan Shepherd over the line again to start 3 laps to go. By the way, on the time limit, there's 35 minutes, I should say, so 14 minutes remaining to do those final 3 laps. I suspect he might be able to manage that in the next few moments. You can't imagine the catastrophe that would have to strike for that not to happen, which is a good thing for those at the front already. Michelangelo in second, but continually being hounded now by some of those behind. Some of them are her teammates, actually. Kane Ryder is there for Team Max Boost, as is Teddy Davison as well, with Reece Wakefield, reigning champion, in 5th place. Not on the same team, but is sort of crowding around as well. I think Colangelo's going to have enough here to hold on, because there's not very much time remaining and there's teammates behind. But it's just something worth noting, really, and something else worth noting. 4 Max Boosts in the top 7 with Daniel McCrone, who we haven't mentioned at all so far tonight. Completes 4 Max Boosts in the top 7.
And it's something that you and I have seen a number of times before, although generally in the open wheel series, the Team Max Boost just group, the gathering that happens up around the front. Colangelo, Ryder and Davison just flooding the front part of this pack with Team Max Boost cars. Not too far behind them as well, Daniel McCrowan in 7th, as he said. So it's a pretty good showing from Team Max Boost, as we've come to expect. Luke Hayden having a bit of a moment. It's been a little while since we had an incident, but it has happened for him. We'll go and take a look at that in a second. But Cruz McPhee picks up another spot. Brian East trying desperately to stay on the back and look for an opportunity. Gets on the brakes nice and early just to give some room, and McPhee continues to try and recover what he can from this race. Luke Hayden losing that front bar. We'll see what's happened here. Is it just that he's gone too deep under brakes? Contact there with the Southern Cross Lamborghini. I'd say that's probably Lucas Baker, who he's come together with. Thankfully, not a huge amount of damage, but not probably what he had in mind.
That was, misjudgment, really. Going down towards turn number 1. A lot of Mercedes, well, not only Mercedes actually, but a lot of drivers in the field generally missing front end bumpers. You can see it here for Reece Gardner, and we've known about, of course, from the start of this race, having lost one, must have lost it on lap number 1, and doesn't seem to be holding him back too much either, but it is
weight
notable.
reduction,
Yeah, well, going to be in high demand at the end of this race, that's for sure. The new front bumpers ready for race 2. Just in front of him, by the way, is Dean Powell, who we haven't seen much of, but we've spoken much of. He's still the biggest gainer forwards, but he won't be if he lets Reece Gardner pass, because Troy Maguire is up 12 places to Powell's 13, heading on to the penultimate lap.
Yeah, great drive from Dean Powell, just keeping his nose clean, I think, has been the answer here. He's not setting blistering times. His best lap of 54.2, but his last lap of 54.5. It's super consistent times from Dean Powell, and that's making all the difference for him.
He's really close enough to have a dive here into the inside at Dunlop curve, not quite. And we'll have to maybe wait for the final lap, because that is fast approaching here into the final corner for Dylan Shepherd, who is about to see the white flag in this first race of the season. Actually, Colangelo coming under increasing pressure now behind, but the gaps are even smaller even behind her, actually. Reese Wakefield very close to Danny Davison going into the final corner at the moment. It's max boost 2, 3, 4, but is that going to last here? Because Wakefield is putting the pressure on. The two Corvettes now onto the inside of the front straight, diving in towards turn number 1 in a moment. Where's Wakefield going to go? I think he was thinking about switching to the inside there, but he's broken very late. He's on the outside line. Is he going to make that work? I suspect not. Oh, and Davison just able to cut him off going in towards turn 2.
That won't be the last shot that Reece has. He will have been waiting, just looking after those tyres, leaving it as late as possible. He knows that he's battling not just Davison, but the teammates ahead of that as well. So it's a difficult spot. Ryan Palmer in the chat just letting us know that Dylan Shepherd has picked up a 5-second penalty somewhere through this race. So Colangelo is actually at the moment on track to pick up the win after penalties.
That is odd. Okay. I don't know if there's a way for us to see that, but anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. It's quite close to 5 seconds as well on this last lap. But anyway, Wakefield challenging Danny Davison at the moment for that 4th place, challenging quite fiercely actually, as they come towards the Schumacher S now. He's had a better run through there as long as he stays on circuit, and he has done. He'll have a good run into turn 11. He's already alongside almost as they come off the corner. Oh, there's contact! He's got into Davison, who's going to fly into the wall. Surely. Oh, he does. He flies into the fence coming in towards turn 11. Oh dear, oh dear. That is Davison in the wall, and Wakefield potentially in trouble. Jackson Darley's going to try and get through here. Indeed, on the way towards the chicane, the final chicane of the race, isn't going to be able to get through on that occasion. But over the line on circuit, Dylan Shepherd is going to win the opening round of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship here from the Nurburgring. We hear, though, that Oisin Colangelo is going to be given the race win after, with a post-race penalty of 5 seconds to Shepherd, which is only going to drop him to 2nd, but nevertheless strips the race win away from him, with some last lap drama as well for the reigning champion. He'll finish 4th, and where is Davison going to finish? It looks like he's going to miss out on a top 10 completely. He's going to finish 14th, and he'll be pretty disappointed and maybe a bit displeased actually with that.
Yeah, there'll absolutely be some post-race conversation with the stewards around that one, I'm sure. Look, it's racing, right? It's final lap. Everyone's going to be pushing as hard as they possibly can. Looks like, an interesting one here. Campbell Adams from Team Max Boost has crossed the line with a black flag showing, so that's going to end in a pretty significant penalty as well, I suspect. So not the finish a lot of these drivers were probably hoping for. Trev Mortimer getting ahead of Patrick Frame by just 1/10 of a second in the end. A lot of very, very close finishes, and still a few drivers out on track to finish. A bit of a battle still going on back here. Mitch Curry and Keith Logan. Mitch Curry leading this one at the moment, holding on to 34th place, but Keith Logan throwing everything out into that Southern Cross Racing Porsche. He looks like he's going to get a good run up the inside here. I think Curry will have it though, still out of the corner, and sure enough, Mitch Curry will hold on and cross the line in at 34th position. A few lagging drivers still to come through. It's a big field, 40 cars out on track, and just about the last on track at the moment will be Brent Tucker, I'd say, from TriStar Racing. Actually, sorry, Jared Burns just behind him, a lap down as well, will come home in 39th. Well, that's a heck of a way to open this championship, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it just? Last lap drama as well here at the Nürburgring between Davison and Reece Wakefield. Oh goodness me! We'll have a look at the first race results though. Now with Dylan Shepherd 4.1 seconds in front of the field. May not be enough though with a post-race penalty, which will get 100% confirmed in a sec. Ocean Colangelo finishing in that second place, ready to take over that race victory potentially. Kane Ryder finishes on the podium. Then you've got that drama for fourth place. Reece Wakefield actually held on from Jackson Dart there, who saw the opportunity to gain 2 places in one. Finishes 5th in the end though, and Daniel McCrowan. Chris Miller 7th ahead of Thomas Cool, Jeremy Washington and Michael Whiting. James Solani 11th in front of Liam Tipping, who couldn't quite recover to the top 10, but at least gets to 12th. Ian Ward, Danny Davison, who drops to 14th after that late problem. Chris Lashbrook rounds out the top 15. Mick Polly was just behind him. The next group contained Dan Bartjes, Troy McGuire and Liam Jensen, with Dean Powell rounding out the top 20.
Just jumped on into the race control sheet at the moment, Ewan, to get a bit of a look at this. And from what I'm seeing, it does look as though Dylan Shepherd may have actually been assessed a 10-second time penalty for failing to redress on making contact with Kane Ryder in the early stages, lap 2. So whether that will be 10 seconds or 5 will remain to be seen, but that will have a fairly significant impact, I'm sure.
Okay, and we already have a decision on. Sorry, I didn't know about this sheet. I'll read through the rest of it in a moment. But here are the rest of the race results. Reece Gardner finishes 21st in front of Trev Mortimer, who's actually one of those who's been in the steward's room as well. Patrick Frame, Blake Delaney, and Matt Webber round out the top 25. Cruz McVie 26th in front of Bradley Kearns. James Doyle, Brian East, Lucas Baker round out the top 30, just over a minute off the win for Baker. Chris Croat next ahead of Campbell Adams, Christian Tachenko, Mitch Curry and Keith Logan top 35. Luke Harden, Guy Digg and Brent Tucker round out those on the lead lap. Jared Burns, the only one to finish a lap down, the only one ready to have any sort of major delay. Thomas Searle finishes 11 laps down, which suggests that he actually got out onto the circuit at some point, but the same can't be said for any of the others further down the field. So just to clear up the rest of the penalties, which are going to probably change the race results that I just read out. Trev Mortimer, 10-second time penalty as well for contact on lap number 1. You've mentioned the one for Dylan Shepherd, which came on lap number 2. Jared Burns, rather, protested by Mitch Curry, may get a 10-second time penalty for a big dive bomb on lap number 2. Campbell Adams gets 20 seconds of time penalties for 2 separate bits of contact on laps 7 and 8. That's the biggest penalty of them all. Although, to be fair, Reece Wakefield has just received 22nd of a time penalty for bumping Danny Davison into the wall with big consequences. So Wakefield going to drop a long way down. Luke Hyden also drops 5 seconds with that penalty as well, protested by Lucas Baker with just a few laps to go. So plenty of penalties coming in there late. I do wonder whether they're going to be applied retrospectively to race 1 results, which therefore will change the grid for race 2. But we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose, when they get onto the grid in a moment.
Yeah, look, so for full reference, for those who are new to MC Motorsport, it won't apply to the grid for race 2, unless I'm expecting something different from the admin team, which is unlikely. It's actually applied in a points change post-race. So these penalties do tend to drop in post-race and will impact on the points received for those drivers. Of course, there is an appeal process that may change all of that as well. So it is left for post-race, but that is where it stands at the moment. Quite a few significant penalties. I'm not actually surprised to see, honestly, a 20-second penalty for Reece Wakefield. That was a huge shunt on Davison. Not intentional, I'm sure, but look, just the way it goes. Unfortunately, you've got to take your medicine when you run someone off the wall like that on the final lap.
Yeah, and it's one of those where there was a lot of moving around going on from both of them, so it would have been, well, clearly it wasn't actually a very difficult decision because it was made very quickly, but it was, I thought going to be a difficult decision to make, but clearly race control disagree and they decided that 20-second penalty very, very quickly indeed, coming towards turn 10, so that is the end of that one. And not an ideal start to the season either for Wakefield. There's a lot of pressure always on you when you're the reigning champion coming into a new season like Wakefield here. But it's not the best start on this occasion. Has a chance to redeem himself here though as we have a look at the grid for race number 2. I'll just go through the top 10 because these are the ones that are reversed. Michael Whiting, who got that top 10 because of Davison's late trouble there. So he's on the front row with Jeremy Washington, who would have thought he was on pole, I'd suspect. Thomas Cool and Chris Miller will be on row 2. Daniel McCrone will be the first of the Max Boost drivers from 5th ahead of Jackson Dow, with Reece Wakefield starting 7th, as you say. Penalties here not changing the grid. Kane Ryder finishes 8th ahead, or starts 8th rather, ahead of Ocean Colangelo and Dylan Shepherd, who will start this race from 10th despite not being awarded the race win there for race 1, so misses out on some points there. We'll see what happens in race 2 for him. The rest of them are as they were on the results sheet that I read out a moment ago, so you know where they all are. Interesting to see how this reverse grid race works, because it is only the top 10, but nevertheless it is going to be some of the stronger drivers having to come through, some of these drivers who finished in the end quite a few seconds off of the race win.
Yeah, and it always is challenging, isn't it, when you see a reverse grid of any nature. I mean, obviously the top 10 is not as... Look, not as full on as a full grid reversal. I can't imagine what a reverse 40 grid would look like here, but even a top 10, it really does throw a different dynamic into the race at the front of the field. It does mean that Dylan Shepherd, Ocean Colangelo, they're going to have to work really, really hard to get past some drivers that are not significantly slower than them. It's not going to be an easy overtake, and of course tonight's track here at the Nürburgring, not one that actually allows a lot of particularly easy overtaking opportunities either. So a lot of work ahead of them. We'll keep an eye on their progress through the field, and of course, Reece Wakefield, Kane Ryder, Jackson Dial, all looking to get back up to the top of the order as well. Michael Whiting and Jeremy Washington on the front row, they all want to get a very, very smart move on here as they lead the pack out towards turn 1, because they're going to get swamped very quickly if they're not on the ball.
They certainly are. We get a few minutes to grid up on this series, so a little bit of a while for some of them on the grid. Looked like Thomas Cool was just making an adjustment or two there as he got onto the grid, then off it again. But he's back again now, but disappeared as Daniel McCrone, the best of the Max Boost drivers, who had a good overall run there. 3 in the top 10 for Team Max Boost, so they'll be relatively pleased with that. Danny Davison, the only one not in the top 10, of course missed out very, very late on with that late incident, so I don't think he'll beat himself up too much about that one, or at least he shouldn't do. There's an hour and 5 minutes to complete these 28 laps, by the way. They certainly won't need all of that amount of time, unless there's severe delays to this one, which there shouldn't be, but it will be double the length of race number 1, and with a 50% fuel capacity limit, they are going to require a pit stop at some point throughout the middle portion of this race. It's not going to be one of those where you can make your pit stop right from the beginning, I don't think, but the pit windows should be relatively wide, or at least give them a few laps of wiggle room, which could be crucial at a circuit like this one. That's often how races at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit are actually settled, with a bit of pit strategy, as it were. So we'll see how they do that, as the final drivers still not onto the grid just yet. And now finally we'll be ready to go after nearly 4 minutes of gridding. We're ready to go for race 2 in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship opener here at the Nürburgring. We're underway for race number 2, 28 laps, because they come down in towards turn 1 for the first time again. Very clean race start of race 1. How's it going to be for race 2? Already a concertina effect going on the inside line. Oh dear, some of them coming to a dead stop almost, but they're getting away with it, and in towards turn 2. Oh, close to a spin there. That was Dylan Shepherd bumping down the inside, I think, of Kane Ryder on the way in towards turn number 2. It was indeed, and Shepherd's through. Another spin, is tipping again. Who spins on lap number 1?
Oh, just the cold tyres catching Liam tipping out twice in almost identical fashion. That is almost certain to guarantee this will be his drop round for the season, and I suppose you may as well get that out of the way early, but not the start that the Koala Cartel crew would have wanted for tipping. He was running a very, very quick laps in qualifying. Unfortunately, all falling apart for him at the moment.
Colangelo already up to 7th, getting down the inside there of Chris Miller, who started 4th and is already down to 8th place. Feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I suppose, with those around him at the moment, as the top guys try and come through with the reverse grid race in mind. Coming in towards the end of sector 2. Shepherd down the inside. That's another place gained, and so another place lost for Miller, but another one gained for Shepherd, up 2 positions already. And there's a half spin for Trip Mortimer, who goes around through turn 10.
I cannot believe the amount of pace that Shepherd was able to carry in that Audi just then. That was utterly insane up the inside. For half a lap in, those tyres should still be stone cold, and he took it as though he's had the warmers on right up until the green flag. That was just a phenomenal pace.
Absolutely. What's going on here? A big mess out of the final corner. Dear, oh dear, Jackson Dahl is the one going backwards from the top 10, or one of them anyway, and that is going to be an almighty mess coming in towards turn number 1. Here we go. How are they all going to sort this one out then, in towards turn 1? Well, they have done nicely, actually, in this battle for 8th place. It is in the end. Kane Ryder's back into the top 10 after losing it on the opening lap of the race. Back into the top 10 now, and there's a spin. It was going to happen. It's Jackson Dahl who spins around through turn number 2. And oh no, there's a Mercedes stop with him who's been clattered into there. And there's more spins just up in front here at turn 3. It's all happening here on the second lap of the race. Lap 1 was calm through the first sector. Lap 2, a little bit less so.
Meatballs for Jared Burns, for Blake Delaney and Jackson Dial, all picking up significant damage there, so they'll be back to the pits, waiting to see if we do have a safety car coming out of track. It looks like they've managed to get it all cleared reasonably quickly, but we'll wait for the call from race control. At the moment though, out in front, Mick Whiting, Jeremy Washington, feeling fairly comfortable actually. Jeremy Washington is in a whole lot of space, but Whiting out in front, just enjoying some clean air, blissfully unaware of the madness that's going on still behind them. Reece Gardner caught up in this. Davison and Lashbrook ahead, Kuhl and Jensen behind the 2 Koala Cartel cars. This is where it all starts to come together. We'll try and go back and have a look at some of what's just happened there, because I have no idea where we should even start with what went on there.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpick from the opening couple of laps of this race, that is for sure. As it just starts to calm down slightly, and thankfully from the opening couple of laps of this race. There's Doyle having a look down the inside there, in towards the final quarter. James Doyle on Mick Poley. Not sure he can stay alongside quite, and he can't, so has to tuck back in. Troy Maguire then is next in line. Patrick Frame as well. Let's have an Arab Designs replay though. Jackson Dow hit the Mustang in front. Now who's this Mercedes again? There's a separate one there with the Mercedes. They clatter into each other. What's this? Bang! one of the Ferraris goes round and smacks the Mercedes. Jackson Dahl just escapes, actually, from the middle of the road. I didn't think that would be allowed, actually, but he has done it.
That's Blake Delaney that's been spun and straight into the side of Jacko Dahl. And then look at the avoiding action. Everyone just diving side to side, trying to get around Delaney. But nothing they could do, really, coming out of that corner at full noise. Mitch Curry got caught up in it a little further down as well. And I think, just a little bit of contact there with, looks like Dean Powell. It's just a few separate incidents all happening in a very, very short time span.
Well, that was all a bit clumsy.
Surprised to see it so early on as well, Ewan. Like, it's a 28-lap race. It's not an enduro, sure, but you don't want to ruin your chances so early on. It's plenty of time still up your sleeve. Look at all the slowdowns coming through, though. What's going on as we settle into lap 3? Those yellow flags, for anyone who's not familiar, all of those yellow boxes next to your timing tower indicate iRacing slowdowns being issued to drivers where they've jumped a curb or exceeded track limits somewhere around this track. And that is a fairly significant number. I suspect it's from this chicane here that we've just seen the drivers going through. Jeremy Washington's serving his slowdown now.
Yeah, Washington's is a bit more heavier than Whiting's, and McCrone didn't have one, so he gets up to second quite easily. He's got a bit of a run for the race lead as well. He's set the fastest lap of the race. I wonder whether he might have a dive here in towards turn number 1, or whether he's going to bide his time. He's actually being defended from right now as Wakefield heads down the inside of Washington, whose momentum has been lost with that little bit of a slowdown. He loses that third place, and the number 1 car is up into third place, really looking to atone for that opening race now, because he would have lost a lot of points with that 20-second time penalty applied at the very end of that race.
And still plenty of close battles. There's obviously a fair bit going on here as Ocean Colangelo starts to reel in Jeremy Washington here. Reece Wakefield trying to extend out in front, but not being able to move on because Daniel McCrone is right there. So this is going to bring Colangelo into this, and all of a sudden we've got a 5-way battle for the lead of this race. There's a little bit of separation, but really we're talking a second and a half from first to fifth. So everyone right in amongst it. Chris Miller behind looks to have given up that spot to none other than Dylan Shepherd, who's charging on, but Miller putting the pressure on, did not want to give up any space there. And fair enough too. Thankfully, just a little bit of a nudge, I suspect. As we see, here comes Kane Ryder, has a big look up the inside. The Corvette not going to make it there, but that is really a warning shot to Chris Miller. He'll need to keep an eye on the mirror. Further back, look at this, Cruz McPhee and Matt Webber side by side in almost the same spot. James Salhani behind them looking to get involved. Troy Maguire in it as well. So we've still got so many battles going on, and these drivers not giving an inch.
No, Reece Gardner up to 11th as well, actually, past Lashbrook as this battle continues. That was close through the kink in the straight before the chicane. Who's going to back out? Oh dear, somebody needs to, and Webber's going to. McVie really gave him no choice, actually, but Webber backs out of it, and Solani, and then Troy Maguire. Then here comes Chris Croak down the inside into the final corner, and can't quite get past. Meantime, Colangelo and Washington side by side. Colangelo stays behind, can't get through, and will try maybe towards turn 3 instead. Switches back to the inside, dives to the inside, no, not quite able to. So this is side by side Campbell Adams, and also further behind Lucas Baker in the Lamborghini. Baker is not able to get in front of Adams on this occasion as well. It's been a very, very lively first 4 laps of this race, and there's more action. Webber the one to spin through turn 3.
Yeah, the pressure is immense here. I don't recall the opening round of any of the previous GT3 seasons being quite as fiercely contested. Oh, there's big contact. Washington is around. Colangelo has gone into the rear quarter. The question will be, does Colangelo look to redress that or just carry on and run the risk of the penalty? I think when it's all so closely fought at this point, you've got to just keep moving. It's not perhaps the most sporting approach, but you lose so much time redressing here. It may not actually be worth it.
Yeah, probably not worth it, but we'll just have to take the penalty a little bit later on. We'll let you know about all the penalties once we've got some reasonings for them, as we have an iRap Designs replay. Oh, wow! Just spin on his own from Webber, and unbelievably avoided as well from that Mustang directly behind, which it would have been very, very easy just to clatter into the back of the spinning Mustang in front. But no, this meantime is the battle for the race lead, and Michael Whiting's done a good job of holding on to this race lead so far through the first 5 laps. But is it going to be able to continue for too much longer? Danny McCrowan and Reece Wakefield are right in behind, and they're hungry for the lead. There goes McCrowan down the inside in towards turn 1, and Whiting come back at him again, straight back through. I believe they are still side by side. They are. McCrowan still at the inside in towards turn 2 and 3. He's still there, but Whiting is on the inside in time for turn 4 here, and is able to stay there again. Here comes Reece Wakefield. Is he going to make it 3 wide? He's not close enough. He could have got a better run there out of turn 4, to be honest, as Whiting now finally has to give it up. McCrowan leads this race after a big side-by-side battle with that fellow Mercedes.
Yeah, something had to give there. 2 wide just does not work around this circuit. Reece Wakefield would have been licking his lips at the prospect of those 2 Mercedes flying off track together and picking up a couple of spots and the race lead. Not to be, though. Cooler heads prevailed. Danny McCrowan out in front, and of course Whiting sits in 2nd place at the moment. He'll be looking for an opportunity to redeem himself, I'm sure. Further back in the field, Patrick Frame finds himself in the middle of this battle, still continuing. And he's got Cairns behind him and Tucker ahead. They've been side by side through a few of these corners. Keep your eye up ahead, of course, for Brian East and Liam Tipping in amongst it. Campbell Adams side by side on the exit. A beautiful drive out of the corner. Sets himself up nicely. Cairns is going to have to drop in behind and just ahead of them. Look at how close Patrick Frame is here. He's got plenty of pace up the hill. He's going for the inside here. Looks for the move. And I think, oh, he's actually backed out of it. I'm actually stunned that he's backed out. A flash of the lights there, so I'm not sure what's happened with Brian East, whether Tucker feels aggrieved by something a little earlier, or if he's just feeling like he's got a bit of extra pace. Chris Lashbrook now under pressure as well from none other than Reese Gardner, who looks to go around the outside. Can't quite get there, but he'll be right on Lashbrook's tail. And sure enough, in the background, Cool and Jensen, the Koala Cartel cars. We can't go far without seeing them on track somewhere.
Hopefully they won't fight amongst themselves, or maybe they will, side by side in the background. Yeah, Gardner and Lashbrook continue their battle, and Gardner holds on to 11th, just about. And just in front, switch back from Lashbrook. Is he going to get back to the inside, maybe, in time for turn 3? Gives the space, does Gardner, in towards turn 3, but has the inside at 4, and he's going to be able to take that place as a result. Actually, just takes the racing line there. And there now come the Mustangs on the run down in towards the second sector. Here comes Cool. Oh, contact! There must have been contact. And outside, Thomas Cool goes to the outside of the circuit and off into the gravel. So after starting in the top 10, Cool is now barely inside the top 20, and here comes his teammate to avenge that. Jensen down the outside now, in towards the Dunlop curve, looking to avenge that spin for his teammate. Can't do it, in towards the hairpin.
I'll tell you what, there is no shortage of action here for round 1. If this is an indication of what we're going to see across 10 rounds, I don't know if my poor heart can take this, Ewan. It is a massive opening round. We're only 7 laps in. We haven't even seen the first of the pit stops coming into play here. Reece Wakefield now serving a slowdown is going to drop back a couple of places, so Dylan Shepherd's going to pick up 1 more here, although Wakefield's going to fight very, very hard. To be fair, teammates probably not going to go side by side through the chicane. Good to see them work it out before they got there, but Wakefield will be trying to follow Shepherd through here and reel in Colangelo in front. Oh, a little bit of contact there with Miller, who looked to go around the outside. He's going to drop back in behind. And Kane Ryder, look at the number of max boost cars here. P1, P3. You've got Kane Ryder and Danny Davison in 7th and 8th as well. Those bright blue liveries absolutely stand out. Although, for a change for us here, Ewan, the OPR cars almost blend in with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We are starting to see some of those notifications come through, by the way, at the top of your screen about what's going on in the stewards room. So I'll give you some reasonings for some of the stuff that's been going on so far. Jackson Dahl with a 20-second time penalty for tapping car 159 at the final corner and causing a spin. So that's not the one that eventually ended up with Giles' demise, and indeed he's out of race 2 here tonight, unfortunately, as is Ben Keatley. It looks like already here tonight. Blake Delaney's been in the pit lane for more than 10 minutes, so is possibly out of this race as well. But that's not the reason. It's a separate one, as Patrick Frame is spun through turn number 4. Dean Power's got a 5-second penalty for tapping another car into a spin, and then so that was the one at turn 2. So tapping the car into the spin, that went on to hit Jackson Dahl, as we saw. But Dean Power also has another 2 20-second penalties, so this is 45 seconds worth of penalties so far from this race already for Dean Power. One for an unsafe rejoin on lap number 2, and a lap later for some contact with Luke Hayden as well. He's got a 20-second time penalty, so that's 45 seconds overall for him. OC Colangelo for a 5-second penalty for that contact we saw ourselves down into the Dunlop curve. I suspected that might happen, unfortunately, for Colangelo, and indeed it has. So just got to try and distance some of those behind, because at the moment a 5-second penalty would cost her quite a few positions. In fact, it would drop her all the way down to 9th position.
Yeah, when the racing is so close, you've got this big pack. I mean, take a look at the lineup behind Mick Whiting here from Fishy Motorsports. Colangelo, Shepherd, Wakefield, Miller and Ryder all right in line. It's a pretty full-on race. And yeah, Josh Harris just chiming in to the chat. Do you reckon these guys know it's round 1? I think they're treating it like round 10 and a championship on the line by the look of things.
Yeah, it is being treated like an all-out brawl at the moment, but it's been good entertainment so far. There goes Solani down the inside. James Solani on Troy Maguire. Side by side through the nice side by side.
Whoa.
Oh, it was until I said that. They very nearly hit each other and took each other into the wall there, but they get away with it. Troy Maguire just about keeping it on the straight and narrow. James Solani up a position. Don't forget, Solani lost places earlier, so it's perhaps expected that he would be making some back up now.
And Colangelo is all over the back of Whiting from Fishy Motorsports. Has been reeling him in just about every corner. She just hasn't quite made the move yet, but you can sense that it's coming. It keeps bringing it down from 2/10 to 1. I think getting pushed along a little bit here by Shepherd and Wakefield behind. Should be feeling the pressure of those 2 OPR cars lined up behind. Knowing how those guys operate, they're quite happy to just sit in, bide their time and wait for the perfect moment. As long as the pace stays up here, they won't be looking to push too much harder, I don't imagine, but they'll be keeping an eye on that gap to Danny McCrowan out in front 2 seconds ahead. And I do wonder if Colangelo's, maybe just looking for an opportunity to put a bit of extra distance in there for the teammate out in front. When you're up this far though, Colangelo will be absolutely fighting it out for a podium position. We've still got 18 laps to go here, would you believe? Oh, this is going to...
Oh, goodness me, Dylan Shepherd, the race 1 winner on the road at least, down the inside of Ocean Colangelo. The top 2 on the road from race number 1, battling side by side in race 2 as well. Barely giving each other enough room, only just enough room given there by Colangelo, but nothing more. Shepherd looking for any way he can find to get through, but at the moment can't do it. Runs a little bit wide there through turn 4, in fact. Reach Wakefield in just behind, Chris Miller there as well. It's all very close between these guys at the moment, and the group is getting restless. You can sense they want to get past Whiting, who's very much the cork in the bottle at the moment.
And the group is starting to grow. Jeremy Washington is catching up. The gap out in front, out to 2.5 seconds now. So McCrowan with that clean air, really making the most of it. Whiting feeling the pressure is slowing this whole group down. Colangelo, I think the attention probably will shift now. That was a massive effort from Dylan Shepherd. Just saw the slightest hint of an opening and absolutely went for it. So Colangelo's going to be on high alert for another move from Shepherd. He's clearly wanting to get a move on and try and reel McCrowan in. So keep an eye on perhaps into turn 1 again this time. Will we see Colangelo go a little more defensive or just keep her focus forward on Whiting? It's a tough call when you're in this sort of position. Yeah,
it definitely is. So, don't forget, not even halfway through this race, so are they going to start to think about actually just making a pit stop here to get out of this? It's very difficult when you're in the leading group because it's so much traffic behind you which you could come out in, but it would be tempting as Shepherd gets into the slipstream with Colangelo, not quite as strong in a straight line as this Mercedes with a slipstream. There go! Oh no! It's 3 wide in towards turn 1, and Colangelo had to back out of that. Shepherd bounding down the inside may well get himself into trouble. If you make an unreasonable dive bomb, you will get a penalty, and that was very, very close to being just that, but Shepherd gets 2 in 1. I would suspect partly because Colangelo saw what was happening there, and we're 12 laps into this race, and Reece Wakefield is still in behind Ocean and Colangelo. They're starting to put some distance between themselves and Whiting, which you'd expect, but these two may well continue the fight nevertheless, whether they're in behind Whiting or not, because they're very, very evenly matched, these two, it seems. It's going to be a good battle for the championship this season. It looks like there's a lot of drivers who are on a similar level, it seems.
Yeah, it's a very close for really top 10. I was not expecting to see quite this much of a tight battle so early on in the season. You often expect these drivers to just ease into the first round. Just test their opponents out a little bit. But certainly the top 5-6 drivers that we've seen here tonight, they're wasting no time. They're throwing everything into it. Take a look at the gap that Dylan Shepherd's opened up after that rather interesting passing move that we saw earlier. Already out to almost 1.5 seconds ahead of Colangelo. So it does just tell you just how much pace he's got in that Audi once he does get released. Reece Wakefield will be wondering how he does the same here without another car to perhaps provide a little bit of distraction to Colangelo. He's going to have to really work for this pass.
Absolutely is. As they come down the hill towards turn 1. Not anywhere near close enough this time round as we really approach half distance here. We are not yet 25 minutes into this race, so it just gives you an idea of how far they might be able to go on fuel. If we've got a 50% restriction, can't see them going miles past half an hour, which obviously means they're going to have to stop before the end of this race, which should be about 50 minutes, as long as there's no interruptions from rain or a safety car. As meantime, a change between 2 Aston Martins. That's Cruz McVie getting past Dan Bartus there, rather easily actually. And Cruz McVie up 12 places so far. Not the biggest mover. That's Brant Tucker at the moment. 15 places gained, but only down in 23rd. That's going to be one of the stories of the season, I feel, that a lot of places gained by those at the back, and they're still not very close to the front, even when they've gained all those places.
Yeah, and this is what I'd love to see in a big field. Plenty of battles going on right throughout. You don't have to be battling out for first place in a field with this level of competitiveness right throughout. You can have amazing fun battling it out in 20th place, 30th place in a big field week in, week out with the same kind of drivers. Sure, the AM Cup will come into play over the next few seasons as more of these drivers find themselves being eligible. Getting a question from Josh Harris in the chat. Is it possible to change the battle box from interval to the leader to gap between cars? Mate, we can absolutely do that, I believe. Let me give it a shot here. Hopefully that is a little bit easier for you to take in. I know it can be a little bit challenging at times. Dylan Shepherd's just set the fastest lap. There you go, 52.6. And Reece Wakefield, no sooner have we said that, has made the move on Oceano Colangelo through that first turn. We'll go back and we'll have another look at that because I think he's been working towards that one for a little while. The iRacing Designs replays showing us actually coming out of the final turn.
Well, have a look at the final turn and effectively just put Colangelo off into the last turn and gets through in towards turn number 1 there. So worked on it slightly, but Colangelo did help him a little bit there. I guess there was a bit of a fear there that she was going to get just crashed into, which yes, the perpetrator might get a penalty, but it doesn't help your race particularly. Colangelo very much playing the preservation game, I think, so far, and that's probably been the smart thing to do from this one. if indeed she is going to get the full 100 points from race number 1, which we believe she is going to, then she'll be right in the conversation for early series leader if this current run of form continues. But it's very, very, I mean, it's even early for me. It's race 2 of round 1, but there you go. There's 2 races, so that there's already a championship to think about, and at the moment it's going to be between quite a few different names, which is a good thing, I think, for the series and for us in the coming weeks. There goes James Sarni looking down the inside of Tucker again for 21st. So Tucker made up more places, yeah. 27 places gained now by Tucker. Sorry, 17, not 27, 17.
Might be about to lose one of those though, because Salhani has some great pace up the inside, and Tucker, rightly so, gets off the power just a little early to slot in behind. I think that preservation game is a really strong point to note as we see Chris Lashbrook coming in to make a pit stop. Liam Jensen will continue on. When I think back to some of the previous seasons that we've had here with MC Motorsport, some of the top finishers have not necessarily been the people we've been chatting to in the booth afterwards as race winners or even podium places, but they've been super consistent week in, week out, finishing in the top 5 over and over again. And over the course of 10 rounds, if you can do that cleanly, sometimes that's just so much better for your total point score than, you know, an all or nothing approach, podium or bust.
Yeah, it's certainly going to pay off in the long run, I would say. As more stops happening, Kane Ryder's also been in probably the highest placed name to have come in. Oh dear, that's not an ideal group to end up in at all. Danny Davison pitted the lap previous and has ended up in it as well, and he's only just now got clear. So Davison up to 20th after a 16.9 second stop. Kane Ryder's stop was just 8 tenths longer, but yeah, this is going to be trouble for Kane Ryder. Searle goes down the inside. Thomas Searle in towards turn 3, and he's not going to get through, but puts the pressure on. And this is why the front guys haven't been stopping earlier, because well, partly they've been restricted by the pit window, which is not massive, but it is, you know, a few laps either side of the halfway mark. They haven't stopped any earlier though, because they are going to end up in traffic like this if they pit too early, and that's what Davison and Ryder are finding out right now, I feel.
It's really interesting to see, considering that we saw a good 12-13 laps of all yellow and orange on our timing tower. The last few laps seem to have brought a real element of calm to the field, where everyone's just simultaneously decided, you know what, it's actually time to settle in and just focus on the strategy for this second half of the race. I'm not quite sure, you know, what the trigger has been for that, but we've all of a sudden seen these gaps open up, and maybe it is just a few key players making moves that have created some space between all of these drivers. But this is really the only group on track right at the moment, and that is a little surprising.
Well, yeah, I think it's slightly out of shape because of the pit stops that are happening at the moment. I think it is going to regroup, but it's certainly true that for the moment it's a lot more spread out than what it was. This is Kane Ryder down the inside, the final corner though, and these are important moves to make quickly. Brian Easted is on, and Searle is trying to take them both, maybe 3 wide through the middle. He wasn't given the inside by Kane Ryder and has to go through the middle instead. Brian East gives them an acre of room, and just as well too, because there were 2 cars down his inside. He's still side by side with one of them, and Searle is persevering on the outside line. Can he stay ahead, or get ahead rather? He's got the inside for turn 4, and therefore he should do, and indeed does. So he's up to 18th, but Kane Ryder, more importantly, is up to 17th, and he alongside Danny Davison are both clear now of that little bit of traffic.
The comments coming through, MCM GT3 more like MCM Corvette Cup. Look, right in the middle of it at the moment, you'd be forgiven for thinking that. Davison, Ryder and Searle all in the Corvettes just charging on through, but out in front is Danny McCrowan in the Mercedes, who's just coming in to make his pit stop now, as Dylan Shepherd in the Audi, of course, continues on. Reese Wakefield set the fastest lap last time around, and on that lap, 52.34 there, so very consistent, very quick. And the 2 OPR cars, this is where OPR really make their gains, when they go just a couple of laps longer than some of these other drivers, get them in a bit of clear air, and we saw it from Reese Wakefield time and time again. last season, when he is out on his own, just absolutely waltzes away. It's not to say he's not quick in a group, but it's a real risk to let them get clear air like this, as we see a huge group of the field starting to make that pit stop a little bit after the halfway point. So I don't know how much extra fuel they'll have in the tank for the two OPR cars out in front, but as it stands, a call it 37-second gap back to McCrowan. It'd be interesting to see whether these guys can get an overcut situation happening by putting a bit of teamwork in here, maybe. Although the gap to Shepherd 1.3, I don't think he'll be keen on slowing down for Wakefield. Look at this, the congestion coming out of the pits now. This is going to get a little bit messy. We've got a Southern Cross Porsche on the inside. That's Mick Poley. James Doyle from Koala Cartel is in there as well. This is the real risk with such a big field, is that it's very, very difficult to time your pit stops in a way that gets you any kind of clear air on the way out.
Yeah, that is a bit of an issue, especially when the pit window is actually quite tight, it seems, in the end. Shepherd and Wakefield, if they're going as long as they can, then that suggests that the pit window would have opened on, because they're only going 3 laps past halfway, that means pit window would have only opened on lap 11, although maybe some people didn't realise it at the time, and closes on lap 17. That's not particularly wide for a field like this, as Shepherd and Wakefield now do indeed come into the pit lane. It's very, very congested. I do suspect as well some drivers might have taken 4 tyres, because pit stops can be as short as 15.9 seconds, like what Michael White and Chris Miller have done. But Chris Lashbrook, we've just seen there, Cruz McVie, both 20 seconds stoppers. So I wonder whether they've taken tyres maybe and the others not. But I would be surprised in a short race like this, and with cold tyres to contend with as well, if anybody's taken tyres, to be honest. And maybe that's just an over precautionary fuel stop there from those guys. But we'll wait and see. Danny McCrowan is going to, meantime, retake the lead. Is he? As Shepherd and Wakefield come out the pit lane, they're both in front of McCrowan, but they're not up to speed yet. So can McCrowan get in front of them and strike while he can? Well, if not, then he's dropped down into 3rd position, and Shepherd's returned to the race lead.
Brilliantly quick pit stops from both Shepherd and Wakefield. 43.2 end-to-end in the lane for Shepherd, 42.9 for Reece Wakefield. Absolutely blistering pace. Both bang on the same fuel strategy. 15.65 in the box for Shepherd, 15.62 for Reece Wakefield. I was almost going to suggest that it might have been a misstep to have both the OPR cars come in on the same lap. You know, would you not break them up and perhaps just hedge your bets a little bit by spreading the strategy 1 extra lap? But I suspect probably not any fuel left in the tank for them to do that.
Probably not, I would guess. So with a 50% fuel restriction, it's not
tight.
so easy to go too long, really, or too past the halfway mark. It looks like McCrowan can't infiltrate that top 2, so they've made the overcut work very nicely with that lower fuel in lap. They've made it work compared to the higher fuel out lap for Danny McCrowan. So Wakefield and Shepherd 1 and 2, and then you've got this group a little bit further down. This is close though, goodness me. They're not going to battle, and there's a Porsche that's going to stay in the middle of the group here, and McCrowan's going to lose a lot of time. That is Tachenko, who now gets out, well, doesn't get out of the way actually, defends it to the final corner, and I don't think McCrowan's going to be very pleased with that.
No, I don't imagine so. It's a tricky one to make a decision on exactly where you're heading there, but yeah, I think it's one of those times where you've got to move right out of the way. We've got a few of these drivers side by side at the moment, tipping Maguire and Polly as they come through the chicane. A big hit of the inside there from Maguire, Fisher Motorsports. That's going to cost him pace, and Mick Polly says thank you very much, I'll pick up another spot. But look at Maguire come straight back at him, heads to the inside as they come down the main straight. This is going to be an all-out drag race down to turn 1. I think Polly doesn't quite have the pace, and it looks like Maguire's going to set up to take this spot immediately back. Look at the Koala Cartel cars, absolutely everywhere here. 3 of them up ahead, another one behind in Thomas Cool. They're just gathering around here. Liam Jensen's up in 12th as well.
Yeah, It's all happening in this part of the field, that's for sure. Lasbrook again on the defensive from McVie. Coming out of the Mercedes arena, looking backwards here, you can see all the way down to pretty much 20th place. 8 cars. Oh dear, what's going on there? McVie with one of the most incredible dive bombs through turn 6, or indeed Lasbrook getting it wrong, I'm not sure, maybe both, but McVie there was flying down the inside from that angle, and he's still on the inside here in time for the hairpin. That was quite spectacular and unexpected as well. I'm not sure Lasbrook was really expecting that either.
I would never have expected someone to send that kind of move there, unless Lasbrook's gone just a little bit wide. We'll go back and we'll have another look, because that was pretty impressive. The iRacing Designs replay will show us what's happened here. Lasbrook just leaves the door open a little. Look at McVie commit to that. That was actually brilliant timing. He just did not follow Lasbrook at all, just dived straight from the inside. A really, really tidy move in the end.
Very, very nicely done. And now he's going to be looking over his shoulder. Tipping and Doyle, well, side by side briefly, they're going to give the position to Tipping, who I think is going to leave tonight wondering what could have happened if I didn't effectively give myself a last to first challenge, because he's spun round very early in both races tonight. Very nearly got back to the top 10 in time for the end of race 1, which would have given him a much better chance in this race, but given his look through the opening laps, I suspect he would have been spun from there as well. So it's a night of what could have been perhaps for him, but encouraging that he's been able to make so many overtakes at a circuit where it's not the easiest on the calendar.
You see Shevchenko just getting caught up in this again. Almost a little bit of contact there with Kane Ryder on his way through, and just so many cars having to deal with lap traffic all at once in a circuit that doesn't really allow a great deal of passing opportunity when you get to those corners. It's almost a strategy play that you've got to think about if you are under pressure from the driver behind. How can you use these lap cars to your advantage? And I haven't seen anyone really lean into that just yet, with the possible exception of Shepard and Wakefield, although I don't think they really had much to do with it. I think it was just Shevchenko not being able to get out of the way in time. But as it stands, Shepard and Wakefield opening up a 3.5 second gap back to Daniel McCrowan as they go nose to tail here. They're actually still going to battle this out though. Wakefield feels like he's got the extra pace. Shepard's going to come across and just shut the door there, but these two OPR cars well out in front now, and will be working together all the way through the remaining 8 laps, I'm sure.
I wonder if they feel with 8 laps to go that they might be clear of McCrowan and able to fight amongst themselves, but we'll see as Tipping now gets through on Lasbrook. And you imagine he will get properly clear. Oh, contact.
Who's going to back out here?
Lasbrook's going to hold out. Well, it's not over yet. Here he goes, outside. Oh, wow, Tipping there, committed, but he couldn't do it. And Lasbrook gets through again. He stays ahead, I should say. 14th position for him, in front of Tipping. And then Doyle, who is doing its best to push Tipping ahead in time for that final chicane. Couldn't do it, though. And well held out there from Lasbrook. He knew he had the inside line, the optimal line, coming into that chicane. And if he didn't back out, then Tipping was always going to find it very difficult. So Lasbrook played that hand very, very well and keeps 14th place.
I don't know how they've managed to strap Chris Lasbrook into that car with those enormous bits of courage that he's carrying with him. That was very, very brave to keep the foot in the pedal there, and it paid off for him. I wonder though whether Tipping's going to have another crack at that in the next couple of laps, because there was not much in it, and yeah, Lasbrook really could have come off far, far worse there. Towards the back of this lineup now, that's starting to appear behind Lasbrook. We've got Thomas Kuhl on the back of Dan Bartouche as well. Have a look at the number of Koala Cartel cars. As we said, in this bit of space here, it is a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on. It seems to be this group again. Seems to be some similar names as well from race 1, where there was well, maybe it was earlier this race where there was similar battles to this. That's not a good line from Bartouche. That's where the slowdowns have been coming from.
Yep.
So it's not all the final chicane. It can, you can get a small one through the Schumacher S. Meantime, Rhys Gardner's under pressure from Jensen. Still 11th. I don't know how so many of the names around Rhys are changing, but he isn't. He's still 11th. And here we go again. Contact! Tipping's trying to bully him out of this, and he has succeeded. Well, I'm not sure how race control are going to feel about that, but effectively, Tipping has bullied Lashbrook out of keeping his nose down the inside. Oh, the Koala guys are all over him now, and they spin him around into the final corner. He saved it, and a little bit of contact there has put him a long way down. Dear, oh dear, that is a real shame for Lashbrook, who was defending very well, and the Koala cartel have rather bullied him out of 14th position and are on their way to pulling him out of the top 15. A big moment on the grass there for Mick Polly, who gets it back onto the circuit, and he too gets in front of Lashbrook.
Well, what a turn of events there. I imagine that race control will be having a very close look at that. Polly giving some back by the look of things to Thomas Kuhl, although really he didn't have a great deal to do with it. But, you know, Three Musketeers all in, all for one for all, that kind of thing, I suppose. With this number of Koala Cartel cars around, I'm not surprised to see a little bit being given back. That was something else, and I'm not quite sure how race control will even assess that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not sure either, to be honest. I've got to say, it's not on the stewards list yet, but
has Lashbrook just picked up an incident point drive-through? It looks as though he might have, with that amount of contact. I think it's tipped him over the points limit, and he'll be serving a drive-through. That is a real shame for Lashbrook. He's raced hard, and it's to be expected, I suppose.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think out of the stuff we just saw, he might have picked up about 10. So that's more than half. And obviously we're quite close to the end of the race now as well. So it's reasonable to expect them to be relatively close to the 17, I think it is, that you need to get a drive-through penalty in this series. Pretty standard number, really. Campbell Adams looks down the inside of Kuhl, but can't get through into the high-speed chicane at the end of the lap, and doesn't think about diving at the very final turn either, perhaps sensibly. Oh, snapper oversteer as he comes onto the front straight, and he's not going to have a chance at turn one because of that.
Yeah, really unfortunately. It looked like he might have had a run at it, but all it takes is just the tiniest miscalculation, and even with the ABS and traction control of these GT3 cars, there is not a lot that stops you from stepping the rear out if you do have a bit of a play around with any of those sort of settings. And sure enough, you do want to be on the ragged edge of control to get the pace out of the cars, but it can really come back and bite you. Washington keeping an eye on that rear view mirror. Danny Davison from Team Max Boost behind. Chris Miller up ahead with his teammate Mike Whiting, also from Fishy Motorsports, ahead of this group. So these guys have just been, you know, fairly stable in their positions for the last few laps. They're close together, but no one's really looking to put too much of a move on. And what they need to keep an eye on is Kane Ryder, who's been really charging since getting through behind and past a couple of the other drivers further back in the field. He's reeled this group in. And with 5 laps to go, it's certainly not over. He could pick up 3 or 4 spots here if he wants to push on.
Yeah, let's see, with the limited amount of time remaining, what's going to change here inside the top 10 especially. Whiting doing a good job of holding on to these positions, as has done for the whole of this race pretty much, but there's still a queue behind, and Danny Davison probably the most expected to work his way through of these guys, but all 3 of them will be giving it a go. Miller's pretty close on the way towards turn 1. Is there going to be a dive? Not from that distance. As the Kane Riders joining in as well. You can see the other Max Boost driver just in the background as well. So it's all happening here. 5 laps to go rather, as Christian Churchenko is starting to get penalties here. No further action on ignoring blue flags, but he's getting a 10-second time penalty for contact with Rhys Gardner. Maybe that's why Rhys is still around where he was before. He has actually down to 12th place now. Knocking on the door of a top 10 all day, but not quite able to get there at the end, I don't think.
No, and it's a tough break, isn't it? The trick is with the blue flags, and it obviously depends league to league as to whether they take a different view of it, but the standard iRacing sporting code does apply even in league races, although, you know, a lot of leagues do choose to forego that potentially. But the blue flags are not that you must pull over and get out of the way, but you shouldn't be battling for position and should be trying to facilitate a safe pass. However, the responsibility lies with the driver behind to make that safe pass, and it really does create some interesting situations where stewards have to decide where that line is between, you know, trying to facilitate that and not actually giving a bit of respect to the driver behind. I don't envy the guys in race control for having to deal with those sort of decisions.
No, it's very, very difficult to judge on that, especially because of that sort of strange rule. I mean, I think it is a good thing that it's the responsibility of the driver behind to actually make the pass, even if it is to put a lap on somebody. But also trying to enforce where the line is as far as not getting out the way quick enough is concerned. It becomes a little bit difficult. James Doyle gets a 5-second time penalty as well for contact with Lashbrook, and Mick Polly is also being investigated for contact with Lashbrook. So interestingly, not tipping. I guess race control, if it's not been protested, or race control decide that a little bit of bumping on the straight, which is fine. But I feel Lashbrook was dealt a pretty bad blow by everybody around him there, really. And unfortunately, he's lost about 10 places in the last few laps.
Question in the chat from Scott Stevens: is it quite overcast and dark at the circuit? Yeah, look, it is. It's getting to what is the time on track at the moment? Looks like 3:20 p.m. So a bit of cloud around though that is impacting this evening. We'll bring the weather up for you in just a moment so you can get a bit of a feel for it. But yeah, it's certainly. I mean, this is winter in the northern hemisphere. You're not going to have particularly long daylight hours. 3:20 p.m. It is overcast still, so yeah, it's got a fair bit of cloud cover around and just a little bit of sun peeking through as it starts to make its way towards setting. Very, very early, of course, as is the way in the northern hemisphere winters, I believe, Ewan.
Feels like you're rubbing it in, to be honest.
Mate, because, honestly, I would take quite happily the winter and the short days compared to the heat that's going on in Australia right now. I know a lot of our friends here racing tonight are sitting in houses that experienced 40+ degrees Celsius today, so it's been a bit warm.
Well, I'll swap it.
Done deal, mate. Done deal.
I'm happy to swap. It's got, especially by the way in Europe at the moment, bitterly cold. It's not been above freezing for a couple of days in the UK, or at least where I live. So anyway, it's very, very, very cold. But anyway, it is winter, as you say. And thankfully, the days where 3:20, by the way, which only a month or so ago, or half a month ago, would have already started to get pretty dark with sunset around that kind of time. Maybe not in Germany, to be fair; they're a bit further south than us. But even so, we do still have a bit of daylight to end this race in. Thankfully, as Campbell Adams gets back to the top 20, Brant Tucker was the biggest gainer at one stage in race 2, but not anymore. Thomas Searle is 19th and currently the biggest mover forward. So that is 21 places gained from the very back of the field here in this race and up into 19th. Battle still for the race lead is ongoing. 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Dylan Shepherd versus Reece Wakefield, the reigning champion, versus the on-circuit race 1 winner. Two top names with a top performance so far for One Performance Racing. 2 teammates who have done well for their team. Who's going to win the race though, and how hard are they going to fight for it is going to be the interest in the final 2 laps.
Look, knowing Reece Wakefield, he's still going to be pushing on very, very hard. Take a look at that. Wakefield's still quicker by a couple of tenths on that lap. So there's not going to be much in this, and really shows just how evenly matched these guys are, even in completely different cars. When they are allowed a bit of space to do it, I think there's obviously a bit of teamwork going on here, where they're not going to be battling quite as hard as if they were up against some of the other drivers, but they've just they've left the field for dead here. 8.2 seconds back to Daniel McCrowan now. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's surprising, I would say, as well, actually. But there you go. Some thinking to do for Team Max Boost, because race 1, they were all over it. 4 in the top 10 for most of the race, and that's the case again now, but the positions in the top 10 they're occupying are nowhere near as strong as what they were in race number 1 at a stage. Obviously, Danny Davison being served by Reece Wakefield didn't help, but nevertheless, it's interesting that difference that we can see. Davison trying to just gain some late positions rather than lose them this race by getting onto the back of this group, but he's been on the back of this group for a while now and he's not really been able to make an impression.
No, and I think he's going to struggle with only really a lap and a half left to go. I don't think he's going to quite catch them well enough to make any massive impact. I'd still be a little worried if I was perhaps Danny Davison, that he might get a bit of a challenge from the teammate there, but we shall see. Danny McCrowan and Ocean Colangelo starting to link up a little bit there, just further up from here, but here we go, the 2 OPR cars come across the line to start that final lap, and there is daylight. 9.3 seconds indicates to me, Reece Wakefield is throwing everything at his teammate here, and why not? They've got 9 seconds back to Daniel McCrowan. They can afford to have a bit of a battle here for the final lap. What they won't want to do, as we have seen a couple of times in the past from a certain race team, ADHD, they won't want to take each other out at this point. But it wouldn't be unprecedented in the MC Motorsport world for teammates to take each other out of 1 and 2. Josh Harris, I know you're in the chat at the moment, so I'm sure you can confirm that.
Apparently, according to Josh, Reece Wakefield's in a brand new rig tonight as well, so racing well considering he's adjusting, which is fair enough. They, as you say, they have got the gap to battle amongst themselves, but they desperately don't want to take each other out. Same will go here, really, although not all teammates. Washington and Miller aren't, and they're battling away towards turn 6 that time around. Just giving Whiting the bit of space to look like he's going to finish 5th without interruption. Wakefield only 2 tenths behind Shepherd, even less than 2 tenths. Is he going to do something in these final corners to try and get past his teammate for this race win? He's got a better line there through turn 11. Oh my goodness, is there going to be a side-by-side moment between the teammates through the chicane? Oh, Shepherd's just weaving across the road. He wants the inside and outside. Wakefield not able to get alongside. Is there going to be a mistake here late on, or is Shepherd going to hold on here? It looks like the latter. Into the final turn, he feels the need to defend, but on the road for the 2nd race in a row, Dylan Shepherd's going to win here in front of Reece Wakefield this time, his teammate. A flash of the lights from Shepherd as he comes over the line. A successful evening for him as he wins race 2 in front of Reece Wakefield. Daniel McCrowan finishes on the podium in the end, only just in front of O.C. Colangelo, who will be one of the biggest point scorers from tonight with that 4th position in race 2 as well. And Michael Whiting holds on very well for a great top 5 after starting from the pole in this reverse grid race. That's a very good return for him.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than he probably would have liked it to be, but in the end, playing out nicely. G'day Ben Keats, seeing you checking in there, mate. It's a shame you weren't able to continue the race this evening, but these things do happen, and I certainly feel those internet issues. We've had a few just here and there over the last little while here at Simple, and hopefully that's not disrupted too much of your enjoyment of some amazing GT3 racing tonight as we wait for Adams and Lashbrook to make their way to the line. Adams will come across now. Lashbrook's a fair way further back, but the battle with Thomas Krul goes right to the end. They're side by side coming out of the final corner. Lashbrook's got the inside run. I think he'll get the drive here. This is going to be very close. Unfortunately for Thomas Krul, just couldn't get there in the end, and Lashbrook holds on to 21st by the skin of his teeth.
Just about. It's less than he deserves, I feel, after what happened earlier in the race, but that's where they finished.
Patrick Friend's
got penalties by the...
Oh, there we go. He's just burning off the slowdown. I was a little worried there that he was going to keep pushing on with that slowdown so close to the line, but he's made sure that's well and truly cleared before he comes across. Matt Webber from TKR Dash Racing will come across in at 28th. And Dean Powell, I tell you what, for someone who had some pretty promising pace early on, it's not been his night, has it?
No, it certainly hasn't. And yeah, considering he had the most places gained at various points in races tonight, a 29th place finish at the end for him. So that's the end of race 2, and it's Dylan Shepherd who wins by 0.3 of a second in front of Reece Wakefield. Danny McCrone holds on from a teammate as well. Oisin Colangelo finishing in 4th place. Michael Whiting then holds on for 5th, and Chris Miller, Jeremy Washington, Danny Davison and Kane Ryder, with Ian Ward rounding out the top 10. Liam Jensen was 11th then, of Cruz McVie finishing just in front of Reece Gardner and Liam Tipping. James Joy rounds out the top 15. Mick Polly was next, although has a 5-second penalty, so will drop behind Troy Maguire, although I think Troy has a penalty as well. Yeah, it does, so not behind Maguire, but behind Dan Bartush and Thomas Searle, because they don't have penalties. Then rounding out the top 20, it's Campbell Adams, just over a minute off of the race win. 21st to Chris Lashbrook, as we just saw, to Thomas Cole. Bradley Kearns was there, Brad Tucker and Brian East rounding out the top 25. Trev Mortimer next out of Patrick Frome, Matt Webber, Dean Powell, the last driver on the lead lap, as we saw. Jared Burge was 1 lap down. Luke Hayden and Christian Tachenko were as well. And retirements stopping before the end were James Solani, Mitch Curry, Lucas Baker, Chris Crowe, Blake Delaney, Jackson Dale and Ben Keaton, who actually I don't think started this second race. As we know, Guy Decock and Keith Logan did not start race number 2. Let's have a chat then, shall we, to some of the top names from this race, starting with race 2 results, shall we, and Dylan Shepherd. I can't move, people, I don't know if you can.
That's right, we've got Daniel McCrone in to start us off, P3 here in race 2. Daniel, a great way to introduce yourself to the MC Motorsport GT3 Championship, mate. Congratulations on a solid result.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It's actually 42 degrees where I am, so I am struggling big time. I need a beer.
Well, I'm jealous, if I'm honest. But there you go. I haven't seen 4.2 degrees in about a month, but anyway, that's besides the point. How was the end of the race there, by the way? Just to skip to the end very quickly. Oisin was right behind you. Were you in some sort of agreement, or were you probably sort of battling there between the two of you at the end?
No, I had pretty much underfueled by about a litre, so for the past, I'd say the last 5 laps, I really had to lift off, and then we were making sure OC had a 5-second gap covered, and if she didn't, I was just going to let her pass because it wouldn't have made a difference to me. So, no, good bit of teamwork at the end there.
Yeah, of course, 5-second penalty from into very early on in the race. How do you sort of assess how this race has gone, or this round has gone, I should say, for Max Boost as a whole? Because at one stage you had 4 in the top 10 of race 1 as well, until Danny got taken out right at the end of race number 1. But you've had 4 in the top 10 of this one again as well. But obviously there's other teams like One Performance Racing who finished 1 and 2 in race 2, for example, here in this one as well. So how do you sort of see how this first race has gone?
Well, I think we're pretty wrapped with it, Ewan, because as you know, we're mainly a Formula team, and a couple of the younger kids have dabbled in the GT3, but as older boys, we don't do a lot of it. So to get these results tonight, yeah, we're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I can. So how much specifically for yourself have you done before this series?
Not a lot. I did probably 4 or 5 races in the MC League, I think last year, but then I broke a couple of ribs, so I had to pull out. But no, I haven't raced a lot of GT3, to be honest.
All right, well, it didn't look like it tonight, I must say. Getting a 3rd place in race 2 especially. Congrats on that, Dan, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
No worries. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, thanks very much. Danny McCrone finishes 3rd in race number 2 here of the opener this season. Reece Wakefield just in front in 2nd place now joins us as well. Reece, congratulations on a 2nd place finish, but nearly well, it was a battle for the win, nearly a victory for yourself. Just tell us about that last lap and how hard you were pushing to get past Dylan, but also having that in your back of your mind that you have got to be nice to each other at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me in here. Yeah, look, that last lap, it was all gloves off. I said to Dylan, I'm like, I'm not going to fight him until the last lap, and that's just so we can build the gap, so we do have enough room to fight. And then, yeah, the last lap, he was quicker than me through the first section. Like, the first half of the track, I couldn't get anywhere near him, but I knew I was stronger in the second half. And I had a plan to get him into the final corner after the chicane because I knew I was quicker in there, but he got a bad run coming onto that back straight, and just he really squeezed me on that little kink, so I had to back out of it. Otherwise I was going to send him into the wall, which I didn't want. So I'm still happy with the P2, happy with a 1-2 finish for the team overall, so pretty happy with that.
And what about race number 1 as well? Because it must be slightly tarred by the fact that, or maybe that's the wrong word, but you know, it must be a sour taste in the mouth a little bit, that last lap incident and how you got a penalty as well. Just talk us through your perspective on that last lap incident with Danny.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment, really. Like, I had the opportunity to go for the move into the corner. It was completely on me. I think I may have just been a little bit too close, and with weight transfers and everything with the cars, I think I just got a little bit into him too hard, which I didn't want. So the 20-second penalty is completely valid, but we'll bounce back next week at Portimao.
Absolutely. We'll see you there. Congrats on a podium in race 2, nevertheless, Reece, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. That's Reece Wakefield, second in race number 2, just in behind Dylan Shepherd, who joins us now as race 2 winner tonight. Dylan, welcome in. Congratulations on race 2 victory. We'll start with the same question I asked to Reece. Just what was that last lap like, battling with your teammate for a race win here in the second race?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Reece basically said to me, he's like, we'll just wait for the last lap, and gave me a bit of time to gauge the fact that I think I was quicker the first half a lap and he was quicker the second half a lap. So yeah, didn't get the greatest start to the lap, and then I knew where he was going to be strong and I had a plan, and then he didn't get the greatest run out, so I just put him in an awkward position. And yeah, luckily, I think being teammates, he backed out of it, but I think if we weren't, he might not have.
And for race number 1, it must be again bittersweet for yourself as well, much like for Reece in race 1, that it could have been 2 from 2 today for yourself. But just talk us through the incident on lap number 2 with Kane, the bit of contact that's given you a penalty, and just how that sort of changed how you felt during race number 1 in what you were able to achieve there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a funny incident. Yeah, I didn't expect to be so much quicker than him into the braking zones. I saw it in race 2 and I was behind him as well. I think the Audi was just really strong under brakes, and yeah, I got a bit of a move on the inside of turn 1, and yeah, he moved across a little bit, not too much, and then yeah, going into that next set of corners, yeah, you could see I was going to try and pass him, and he blocked a little bit, and then as soon as I had my nose on the inside, he basically drove all the way to the grass. I think it's half a car width, so didn't really give me the greatest amount of room, but yeah, stewards called it what it is. Yeah, I thought I was probably going to get a penalty, just the way things are sometimes. I didn't get it until the second last lap, or the last lap even, so I was just pushing as hard as I could to try and get a 5-second gap regardless, but just fell short of that.
Well, yeah, it will still be a decent points haul from tonight, so congratulations on that, Dylan, and thanks for chatting to us at the end tonight as well.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Good to finally be in here.
Absolutely, thanks very much, Dylan Shepherd, winner from race 2 tonight here at the Nürburgring. Just in behind was Oisin Colangelo, and indeed joins us now. Oisin, welcome in. Congratulations on race 1 victory at the end, and race 2 4th place as well, I think, which you just about held on to and gives you a good point total from round number 1. Tell us how you feel at the end of tonight. You must be pretty pleased with a strong points haul like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. Obviously, I haven't done much GT3 racing, so to race against some of the guys that mainly do GT3s and give them a bit of a challenge was good. It was good to get the win in the first race, and the second race was a bit tricky with that penalty on my head, but I managed to keep my head down and build out the gap in the last few laps. But I must say, This race was a bit of a different one for me because it was 37 degrees here where I am, and I'm in a room with no aircon, so I've been sweating throughout this whole race, like just going down my face everywhere.
Everyone's complaining about the weather tonight, I've got to say. Well, apart from me, everyone's complaining about the weather, that is. Everybody's too warm. But what are the targets overall for this season for yourself? Because obviously I've only seen you in open wheelers in the past, and you seem to have taken a hand to GT3 racing just as the same. How sort of high do you think you can finish in the overall championship this season?
Top 5 would be good for me. I will miss out on 2 of the rounds, so it'll make it a bit more of a challenge, but I'm always up for a challenge, and I'll be aiming for the highest place I can try and go for.
Well, good luck with that for the rest of the season, but for now, congratulations on a first to the 4th from tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's Oisin Calantalo, who finishes in, as I say, 1st and 4th in race 1 and 2 tonight, with those post-race penalties to Dylan Shepherd, putting him down just a little bit. The two of them will be very close on points at the end of the first round, by the way, but we'll obviously have the point standings at the start of next week, and we'll focus a bit more on it later on the season, because it is very, very, very early. But Jared, that was a good start to the season. I always fear at this circuit it's going to be a bit dull, because sometimes you get circuit races around here that don't really allow for very much overtaking, but tonight thankfully wasn't one of those. There was plenty going on there.
I cannot think of a word that is further from the accurate description of what we watched tonight. That has been an absolutely massive opener to this GT3 Championship. Easy Motorcycle Spares getting on board as the primary sponsor. I reckon they'll be cheering that this is how it's opened, because 40 cars, relatively clean racing around a tight circuit. You look at what's still to come in this season, Ewan, and I am so keen. It's going to be a really tough call as to whether I enjoy the V8s on Monday nights more or the GT3s on Wednesday. But we have the extreme pleasure of bringing both to you all season. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to be absolutely rapt to see more of the same from tonight across the next 9 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun to see, and that competition going on as well between which will be more entertaining over the course of the season. But there is a long season ahead of us, of course. We're effectively live every week until March the 18th from now, only missing one on February 18th for between rounds 6 and 7. But for the next 6 weeks, we've got live GT3 racing, and mostly different formats all the way through, which is going to be a lot of fun to see. Next week is a sprint round, which means 3 races at the Portimao circuit in Portugal. So a European start to the season before our first Australian race, which comes from Sandown the week after that. That'll be back to the feature format like we've had here tonight. Big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in at home and chatting along with us tonight. Of course, so thanks to the sponsors as well, to the title sponsor, Easy Motorcycle Spares, of course, iRacing Designs, who sponsor the replays of this series, and of course our other sponsors, Everything Simulated and Six Punch Coffee as well. Big thanks to all of them for making this series and indeed these broadcasts possible. I've been Dylan Leary alongside Jared Cole, and until we see you in 1 week's time for the second race of this championship from the Algarve, it's goodbye for now.